I'm Sierra Liggett, a wife and a mother sharing our story and journey. We love all things adventure, sustainability, and gentle parenting. We have a passion of gardening and growing our own food in the hopes of a more eco-friendly lifestyle. I share our story, vibrant photography, and tips all on my website at sierraliggett.com. If you are watching this video, then you chose to be here, and I want to thank you for that. Gentle parenting very much requires you to want to be a gentle parent. Or maybe you don't believe in gentle parenting, you've heard people talk about it and you think that it sounds kind of lazy or it's just not how you want to parent. That's okay, and maybe you're here because you just want to see what I'm about to say. I want to thank you for being here too, because you are still here, and I hope after watching this video you can take away some tips or some ways to better yourself in this parenthood journey, or in the journey to parenthood if you don't have any children yet. Now, I am no expert. I just listen to a lot of wisdom books, parenting books. I do a lot of research, I went to school for children development and teaching, so I just have all this in the back of my mind and I just want to share it with everybody else. I am so excited to share what I have learned thus far and how I parent positively, discipline with love, and I never do anything that I would do to another adult with our child, because children are still humans and they still feel the same way we do. It's just a lot bigger. They don't know how to control their emotions yet, and we are here to help them. So my first tip is to start with yourself. This is something I learned from Dr. Shefali Tsabary in her book, The Awakened Family. She talks about how being a parent can be very triggering for some people because there are some things that we haven't processed yet in our childhood, or there are some ways that our parents raise us that we are realizing that we don't necessarily agree with, but we've just been instructed to feel this way and molded to react the way we do, and it's very hard to turn that off. So that is why it's very crucial to start with yourself. You want to start practicing regulating your emotions. If something happens and you feel this intense feeling inside of you, sit and think about it, reflect on it. Why are you feeling that way? And become more conscious and notice those sensations in your body or that are running through your head. And lastly, you want to start to turn off your fight or flight response. When your child says something negative or they behave in a negative way with their bad behavior, that is really going to trigger your innate fight or flight response. And we want to minimize that. We want to stop and think before we do any kind of reaction. It is going to be really crucial to practice remaining calm, to not raise your voice, and to not see that behavior as an attack or a threat to you. But even further than that, how can you be expected to take good care of your children if you're not even taking good care of yourself? If you feel like a hot mess all day, then your children are probably going to feel like a hot mess, and that the whole day is just going to go whack. So, not saying that you can't feel like a hot mess, because I know everybody has those days, but you want to try and minimize those days and take care of yourself first. Start implementing self-care time, start implementing breathing time to reflect, start implementing maybe you need to change up your meals and what you're putting into your body, and to make sure your needs are met first. You are more likely to maintain control of your emotions and yourself, feel healthier and happier throughout the day if you are taking care of yourself first. Tip number 2, don't do anything for 5 minutes. What do I mean by that exactly? So what I'm trying to say here is it can be very easy to get caught up in the moment and to become overwhelmed with whatever's happening. So for example, you're trying to get dinner in the oven and your kid is constantly talking or just really distracting you, and it's making you feel very anxious, or your children, if you have multiple, are arguing and having a fight, and it can be So easy to just throw the dinner in the oven, slam the door, start yelling, tell them to go to their room, and give a bunch of empty threats that you will later regret. Instead, stop and don't react for 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes to calm down, to focus on what you are doing and get what you are already trying to get done. Breathe and try and figure out what the source of the conflict is. After you have done that, then you are ready to tackle on the situation, and you can go to your children or your child in a place of calm, a place of patience, and a place of connection. You can use that source of calm to focus on the reasons behind the issue rather than how everybody else is reacting. And you can even model this to your own children. So, for example, if I'm upset and actually, before I say this, I also want to mention that you can use these in your own relationships. So if you don't have any children yet and you're just learning, you're just watching this video to learn how to be a gentle parent and to parent positively, you can use these, practice these in your own relationships right now. So you and your partner are having a fight and you just need time to calm down before anything else comes out of your mouth. All you have to do is say, I need to take a break. I'm feeling very frustrated. I need a moment to myself to calm down. I will be back in a couple minutes. But this also leads me to my next point. We're all human, right? So sometimes you might overreact, and that's okay. If you do overreact, the important thing is to humble yourself and apologize. This is one of the most important things you can do as a parent. Not only does it model to your kids that it is okay for them to apologize, but it also allows you to explain why you got overworked, why you got over angry, how you let your emotions get the better of you, and that you are so sorry for what you did. Being able to apologize to your children is going to help build connections. It's going to allow you guys to build trust and to rekindle whatever those words might have broken. It's also important for you to be able to tell your kids that you will keep working on this so that it doesn't happen again in the future. As I mentioned before, the second most important thing you can do is to model this behavior. You want to model the behavior that you want to see from your kids. Children are just mirrors of their parents, right? They will in turn do what they are already seeing happening and what they are already learning from you. So when you get mad, how are you reacting? Are you throwing your stuff down? Are you slamming your chair into the table? And are you leaving the room and slamming the door? Or are you taking a moment to calm down, to reflect, and then answer? But of course, we all make mistakes. We all experience extreme emotions. We all have times of anger, sadness, loneliness, all of these emotions that society has deemed negative and that society has told us are bad. But they're all emotions and we all experience them. They are natural. Children are people too. And we are teaching them that these emotions are okay to feel, and we are helping them learn how to regulate them. Tip number 3 would be to start being specific. I've noticed that this one really helps with Evelyn. If she is doing something she's not supposed to be doing, for example, standing up on a chair, then I will say, please sit down on your butt. Or, you're not supposed to be doing that, sit down on your butt, please. And that gently reminds her that, oh right, she's not supposed to be standing. If she needs help reaching for something, then she can ask me. Because as a kid, did you ever experience your parents saying, no, because I said so? And how did that make you feel? It makes you feel very disconnected, like your parents are the main authority. You always have to do what they are told, even if you don't know the reasoning behind it. It makes you feel very disconnected from your parents, and it almost leads to this phase of rebellion. Like, they are telling me to do this, but they're giving me no safety reasons, no reasons behind why I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So maybe it's something that I should continue to do instead, right? Because we have that innateness in our heads to constantly rebel, to resist authority. It's innate, we all have it. And it really comes out when we're teenagers. So instead of just saying no or because I said so, When your child is doing something they aren't supposed to be doing, explain, explain, explain. Be as specific as you can be. Tell them what they should be doing instead. Sometimes a firm and gentle no can still be just as bad as a harsh, yelling no. Similarly, you can explain and be specific with everything. Another example, right now Evelyn is transitioning into not taking naps at all, unless she's absolutely tired. But instead, usually she will just play throughout the day and then go to sleep an hour earlier. So I still take her to her bedroom during what would have been her nap time, but instead I have sat a little reading station. I have brought in her weekly toy rotation. I have made her space inviting for her, and I sit her down and explain, you don't have to nap if you don't want to. If you're tired, there's your bed, but I've made you a reading station and a toy area, and you can work with those, whatever you choose to do. Mommy needs to work for 30 minutes. I'll come back and get you when the time is up. And that is going really well. I did not expect her to take that as well as she does. And I will literally sit right here where I'm filming this while she is in plain view of me. I can see into her room, but I also have the camera pulled up so I can see what she's doing and make sure that she's being safe. And she stays in her room despite the fact that I'm right here. Another example, when we go to the doctors, I explain everything that the doctor is going to do, and I use age-appropriate and scientifically correct terms for her body parts to help her better understand what the doctor is going to do. And I've noticed she was 18 months at our last doctor's appointment, and I noticed that she sat there perfectly fine and did everything that the doctor instructed her to do. And I want to say that that's probably because she knew what to expect, she knew what was going to happen, she knew she was safe, and that I was right there with her. Instead of just expecting a child to blindly do what some stranger is about to do to your body, right? You don't want some stranger touching your body and checking into your nooks and crannies. So that is why I try to explain everything. Another thing, I'm going to get a little scientific with the terms here, that I learned in school. I spoke what's called motherese to Evelyn. And it's this innate ability mothers have to speak baby talk to their kids, right? Baby talk is also called motherese. However, even though I did this, I never altered my speech. I never used shorter, simpler words or more child-appropriate words. I always gave everything their appropriate terms, gave everything their appropriate meanings, what would be more socially used, because children have the innate ability to understand that perfectly clear. They have the innate ability to use context clues to figure out what words mean, and it helps build their vocabulary. So you never need to alter your words or your speech for your children. Call everything by its proper name, and they will be better off for it. They will never have to relearn those words and the context that they are used. My last tip is that you want to prioritize connections. This is going to be one of the hardest parts for a parent, and let me tell you why. First, you have to start with yourself. I know I already mentioned that, but this time not only are you starting with yourself, but you're also working with your children at the same time. So now you have yourself and you're working with your children. The reason I have to say that you want to start with yourself is because you have to want to prioritize these connections. You want to spend quality time with your children, undistracted from anything. The more that they feel loved and connected, the more that they will love and trust you. Like I mentioned earlier, Evelyn is transitioning from not taking naps anymore. And if I don't give her consistent quality time, consistent one-on-one individual undivided attention time, then our day will just not go very well. So I always start out my day by first prioritizing her and making sure that her and I are having some quality connection time, whether it's reading, doing an activity she wants to do, making breakfast together, whatever it is, we do it first thing, and then our day is smooth sailing from there. It's imperative to show love first and to make time for your kids. Another reason that this starts with you is because when your children are older, you're going to have to be able to let go of your ego. And it's better to start now while they're young, or if you are watching this and you already have older children, then now's a good time to start too. I apologize if you're going to start hearing Evelyn. She just came home from her grandparents' house and she is jumping on the trampoline now. But we're almost done here, so let me finish wrapping this up. For an example, Dr. Shefali Taberi mentions that her teenage daughter came home one day and was in a fit about her mom. She was talking about how she is the worst mom ever, about how much she hates her, and how she wishes that her mom could just be the fun, nice mom. Most parents would take this as a direct attack, and like you feel like you are doing all of these things for your kids. Why do they see you this way? Why are they hating you? But instead, you need to flip the perspective. You have to be able to take a step back. Realize that these are your child's feelings. This is how they feel, and they are completely entitled to their beliefs and how they feel. You have to be able to understand and make that connection. And then instead of arguing about it or arguing about who feels more attacked and who's the victim here, instead work together to see how you can meet your child's needs. How can you make them feel more loved? All of this gentle parenting is revolving around a main idea that being a parent is not authoritative. You are not the sole ruler, and these are not your little pupils. This is a symbiotic relationship. Dr. Shefali kind of says that it's almost like a dance, and two people can't lead in a dance, right? You have one who leads and one who follows, and then the other leads while the other follows. So your children cannot be leading at the same time that you are leading. You guys have to take turns. Something that is also imperative for parents to keep in mind and to start considering is that when your child performs a bad behavior, a temper tantrum, performs one of those negative emotions, that it is not a direct attack on you. It is not because of how you parent or a reflection on you and what you have a lack of. Every child is their own entity. They are full of their own beliefs and their own emotions, and it is so important for parents to realize that they are individuals. They are entitled to their beliefs, they can feel them, and it is our job to respect them and to help teach them how to control their emotions. If you have any further questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below or to find me on one of my social medias and send me a direct message. I would be more than happy to try and answer them or to work through the question with you. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it and if you have learned anything from it, or if you found it in any way helpful. This is just part one of my parenting series that I am super excited to delve into. I very much enjoy spreading knowledge and finding what I learn and what I find to be resourceful, and to just spread it to all of our friends and family. So I figured, what better way than through my YouTube channel. I also plan to talk about how we handle Evelyn's tantrums. I plan on going further into what gentle parenting even is to begin with, all of our different parenting styles, parts of Montessori and how you can implement those into your everyday life, healthy habits for parents to help build those connections that we already talked about today, how to raise independent kids, and so many more interesting topics for parents or for about to be parents or just people who are just interested in child development in general. If there's anything that you want to specifically see more of, feel free to drop that in the comments below as well, or reach out to me and I would be more than happy to make a whole video on it depending on how big it is, or I would be more than happy to feature it in one of my videos. I hope you found this video enjoyable, and I hope that you took something away from this, or if this video even made you stop and think I don't do that, or it gave you this strong emotion, you feel like I attacked you in some way with my words. I would encourage you to stop and think and figure out why you feel that way. See if maybe there is some way that you can build on that and reflect on that and what you can do in the future. So yeah, that's all I have for today. See you guys next week.